Hi, Sadie.
Hi.
First is a bloody film, also an action film. Was there any stunt that you struggled while shooting? Any specific stunt?
Any stunt that I struggled with?
Yes.
A few stunts that were kind of complicated to work out. I think the biggest one being the scene in the science and nature cabin when I think I'm like pulled by my hair and I'm like thrown from across a table or something. That was pretty complicated. That sequence took about 2 days to film. Yeah, so that was probably the hardest to work out, but it ended up looking really great. So yeah.
You were starring at popular projects such as Stranger Things and now Fear Street. How does it make you feel being famous at this young?
It's definitely like been an adjustment and a huge change in pace, but really loved every second of it, and I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that I've gotten so far. But yeah, I still feel like myself, and I have really amazing people that I surround myself with. So it's nice to have a really strong support system throughout all this kind of craziness. But yeah, I'm really, really grateful for everything.
I think you have a big potential, and I feel like you will be more successful in the future. And at that time, I will be proud that I had an interview with you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so sweet.
What is your favorite horror movie?
I really love Us. It was really scary. Not so much, I guess it's horror, but it was more of like a psychological thriller. But I really enjoyed Us. Midsommar too. Very scary.
Do you believe in supernatural things?
I'm not gonna rule it out. I don't know. I haven't done too much digging into that world, but definitely not gonna rule it out. So I'm kind of in the middle on that one, I guess.
Thank you for your time and thank you for this interview.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Lee. Your previous film, Honeymoon, was also a horror type. This series was also in the horror type. Are there different genres that you want to shoot in the future?
Definitely. I think I love horror movies, and I find that they are kind of like the great place for me to exist because I can move the camera a lot. I can scare people. I can still tell love stories, which both Honeymoon and Fear Street are love stories, but also I can make them bloody and crazy. But I'm interested in other genres too. And I think like really for me, it's just about finding a story that I'm drawn to and wanting to tell that. So there's really not a genre that I'm like, I would never do that. Although I maybe would not direct a rom-com, even though I love watching them. I just don't know if I'd be the best director for them.
What's your favorite horror movie?
I think I have a million of them. I love Scream, which should be clear from Fear Street 1994. I love Halloween. I love The Thing. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I love slasher movies, as is clear. I love Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, Fly. I could go on and on.
You're really fan of horror genre.
Yeah, totally.
There are several refer to some classical horror movies in Fear Street. Do you have any horror movie director that inspires you?
Yeah, I think for the first movie, Scream was one of those. So as I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, kind of all of those like mid-90s slasher movies. For the 70s movie, it was very much kind of Friday the 13th is the first one that I think everyone thinks of because it's the quintessential camp horror movie. Also Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of looked at all of those to kind of get that spirit of 70s horror. And then the third movie for 1666, I really was inspired by Terrence Malick's The New World. Not a horror movie, but is a horror movie, kind of.
Have you ever had a paranormal thing happen to you?
No, although I will say in the town that I grew up, we had a little bit of like a local kind of urban legend was about a psychiatric hospital that allegedly used to exist in the woods. And I remember sneaking out as a teenager and being like, ooh, like what's going to happen? Are we going to come across they were called melon heads, actually. That was the thing. That's the closest.
Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to talking with you.
So nice to meet you. Thank you.
See you.
Hi.
What's going on?
Hi, guys. Fear Street is a bloody film, also an action film. Was there any scan that you guys struggled while shooting? Any specific scan?
I had a really hard time wearing Birkenstocks during this film. And this might seem so out of the field, but I had to wear Birkenstocks in a lot of scenes. And that probably was the most painful process of filming. Not even the action or the horror, but the Birkenstocks.
You in those Birkenstocks.
Sometimes people don't think about what your character's wardrobe is in alignment with all the stunts and the horror that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. Sometimes your character, you happen to be wearing slippers or heels or anything, and then you have to do all these stunts with it as well.
That makes it much more harder.
Yeah,
much
it's
more
challenging.
difficult. Yeah.
When I had those socks on, I was running around. I was like, I feel like all the stunts were really controlled. Yeah, but the Birkenstocks.
I remember we ran through the woods, but that really wasn't a stunt.
Yeah.
Birkenstocks.
Do you guys believe in supernatural things?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm like, ghosts are real. I believe in them 100%.
I mean, I believe in God and I believe in spirits.
Yeah.
I would say that ties into like supernatural for sure, like otherworldly.
For sure, same.
So what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie.
My favorite horror movie is Get Out. I love Get Out. I feel like it was different. It kind of set the bar and I love what it did, in terms of their social commentary. And yeah, Jordan Peele's a genius. So I would say Get Out.
I would say Fear Street, 1994 is probably my favorite horror movie I've ever watched. I don't know what's better. Sorry.
I think my favorite one might actually be The Shining. I love The Shining. That's one of my favorite movies ever as well.
Have you ever had a paranormal thing happen to you?
Paranormal thing. There's something called sleep paralysis, which I consider to be paranormal. It's the closest but I've never had it, but people around me have had it. And
you had sleep paralysis?
No, I've never had sleep paralysis, but I feel like what that cross between dreams and real life is paranormal seeming. It's never happened to me. I'd be terrified if it did. Yeah.
I'm kind of honestly terrified to answer this question because I don't want any paranormal things to happen after this interview. So
all the ghosts are like, you said what?
You haven't done anything on it
yet?
I'm always like, oh my goodness, I'm sure there are ghosts here. Anytime I enter any house built before 1980, I'm like, oh, this house is haunted.
Definitely haunted.
Thank you for your time, guys. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. You too.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Ali.
Hey, Ali, how are you, man?
Fear Street is a bloody film, also an action film. Was there any scene that you guys struggled while shooting any specific scene?
I don't know if I personally, any of the scenes, I don't struggle with anything. No, I really don't.
I don't think so. Not for me either. I think that Lee, the director of 3 films, really made an effort to, like, if there was the possibility of anyone being in any physical or emotional danger, like that was really like taken care of so that when we did the scenes, we could just really live it as freely as possible and come out of it. It all felt very safe. Yeah.
Yeni, you?
No, I echo what they both just said. It was such a great team that made these films that Lee assembled. And no, I mean, I felt excited to try and do different types of scenes than I normally do. It was a good challenge, but everyone was so wonderful. Yeah, I can't think of a specific scene that would answer your question well. Sorry.
Do you guys believe in supernatural things?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I do believe that there in some of the supernatural. I think of the supernatural as working for us, not against us.
I definitely believe that it would be ridiculous for us to say that we understand everything. I think that will obviously be disproven at some point in the future. There's plenty that we don't understand.
Have you ever had a paranormal thing happen to you?
Yes. If we had an hour, I would tell you about it because it'll actually it'll blow your mind, but it's yes. You just made me think about it. And it was it's one of the wildest things that's ever happened to me in my life, actually.
Wow. I can't think of anything. Ashley, have you thought?
Yeah, not for me either.
What about for you? Have you had a supernatural paranormal experience?
No.
There's somebody on the ceiling, Ali, look up. No, okay.
Thank you for your time, guys. It was a pleasure talking with you. And Gillian, we're still waiting a community movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
come on, we need that.
Please. We need that movie.
Okay. Thank you.